Hello again, Steve Grizzetti, co-founder of MoviePix.com and author of the MoviePix.com Guides to Adobe Premiere Elements and Adobe Photoshop Elements, working with image sequences. Now, in part one of this tutorial, we output our image sequence. In other words, we took a short video and we output every frame in that video as an individual picture. Here in Photoshop Elements, I'm going to File, Open. I'm going to find the individual photos for that image sequence, and I'm just going to select them all. I'm going to select the first one, hold down the Shift key, and select all 78 of them. Click Open. There they all are, all 78 of them. I can choose them by going down here to the photo bin. Now, if tool options are showing here, you can select the photo bin in the lower left-hand corner, and there are each of the 78 pictures. I want my effect to start when their fists meet. This is pretty good. Maybe I'll start a little bit earlier here. And I'm just going to add a simple effect here. You could make this more complicated. Say, for instance, you have a lightsaber battle and you want to add individual sparks. You want to add a glow to your sword. This is a great way to do this. I'm going to just select a simple effect. I'm just going to filter and under render select lens flare. And here is my lens flare. You've seen our tutorials on adding lens flares and creating lens flares, and you can affect the brightness. There are different styles of flares. And just to get kind of a lightning sparky effect, I'm going to randomly just select some lens flares. So we'll select this one. I'm going to put it right on Zoe's knuckle. And then I just go down to the photo bin, go to the next picture, and add another lens flare. Just continue to do that. So I'm going under Filter, Render, Lens Flare, and I could continue with that lens flare. I could change it, make it a little brighter, or I could try a different style of lens flare. And so this is all going to go by very quickly, right? Click, click, click. And we will add these to the entire sequence where their fists are touching each other. Now, rather than work with these and show you individually how I did this, because it took quite a while, I want to show you my finished product. Here is the image sequence I worked on the other day. And now if I go through the pictures one at a time here, you can actually see the animation. And again, I kind of varied the look of that lens flare as I went through here, varied the position of it a little bit, because I want to make it kind of look like it's random electrical energy. Now, once I've completed this entire sequence, or as many as I want to add the effect to, I'm going to save each of these. And then I go back over to Premiere Elements. I'm going to open a new project here. Now, before I actually add the photos to my project, I want to go over here and I want to change something. If I go to Edit, Preferences on a Mac, of course the preferences are off to the left of the program, and go to the General page. And here on the General page, I can set the length or the duration of each photo I bring in. Now, normally by default, this is set to seconds. 5 seconds is kind of the standard setting for photos to come in, but we want each of our photos to come in at 1 frame. So here in some of the more recent versions of Premiere Elements, you can actually set to frames, and we just want each photo to come in as 1 frame. You must do that before you actually import the media into your project, or it won't apply. Go to Project Assets. Again, we could go to Add Media and add our files this way. I'd like to go to Project Assets. There's a nice shortcut in here. Just double click on a blank space and work your way over to the folder. And I'm just going to select these all. Control A, or holding down the Shift key to select them all, and click Open. And now they all come into the project. Now, one little quirk in Premiere Elements you got to watch out for. Take a look at these. You can see that quite often when you grab a number of sequence or a number of media files, they don't necessarily come in alphanumeric order. And that can drive you crazy because you don't want to have to resort these things once you add them to the timeline. You're working with 78 individual frames. So here's a little trick. Go up here to the upper right-hand corner of Project Assets, change View to List View, and then under the Name column, click Name. That will sort them by name. You may need to click it twice so that you go from 0 to 78, and now they're in alphanumerical order. That only works in List View. So I'm just going to select them all with Control A or Command A, drag them down to my timeline, and place them on my timeline. Don't worry about Smart Fix. Click No. The entire sequence has come in here. I'm going to press the backslash key right above the enter key. You can see the individual frames here. This is my completed video, one frame at a time. You can see even though it's 78 frames, the entire thing only lasts 2.5 seconds. To enhance it, I grabbed myself a nice audio track, a nice sound effect from online of lightning bolts. And when I output my video, I get my electric meeting of the two cousins created one frame at a time by creating an image sequence and then re-importing it back into Premiere Elements and creating a movie from those individual frames.
Mommy and Jason, we are a turkey.
So if you want to know more about creating these kind of effects, if you want to know more about using both these programs, be sure to check out the many tips and tutorials at MoviePix.com. If you want to know everything about Premiere Elements and Photoshop Elements, boy, we got books for you. The MoviePix.com guides to each of those programs, as well as Cool Tricks and Hot Tips, our special effects book for Premiere Elements. They're all available at Amazon.com. I'm Steve Grizzetti. See you again real soon.